We respectfully request the Sangha great virtues for the sake of this assembly and all living beings. Please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach and guide us how to end birth and death, leave suffering and attain bliss, and quickly realize non-birth. Cung thính đại đức tận thính, vì thứ pháp hội cập nhật thiết chúng sanh. Tình chuyên yêu pháp luân, giáo đạo ngã môn. Như há liêu sanh thoát từ ly khổ đắc lạc, tốc chứng vô sanh. Homage to the Blessed, Noble, and Perfectly Enlightened One. Nam mô Sananto Suchedo Ye Olahodi San Miao San Puto Xie. Nam mô Tạng Đắc Ta Toya Đa La De Tam Miệu Tam Bồ Đà Toa. The unsurpassed, profound, subtle and wonderful Dharma in 100,000 million aeons is difficult to encounter. Now that I'm able to see and hear, I will receive and maintain it. I vow to fathom the thus come one true and actual principles. Wu sheng 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 wei miao fa bai jian wan jie nan zao yu. 我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。O Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Great Master Jingliang, Great Master YongHua, all good monks and nuns, and all good knowing advisors of Emitofuo. 诸佛菩萨 清凉大士、师父上人、各位出家人、各位善知识、弥陀佛。Chư Phật Bồ Tát, kính thưa Thanh Lương Đại sư, Hòa thượng Tiên Hóa, quý thầy cô và quý vị thiện sĩ thức A Di Đà Phật. Hello everyone. Today is the 12th of February, almost mid-month already. Time really flies. This thing is not working. No, still not working. Okay, thank you all for coming to our discussion of the Avatamsaka Sutra. We are in the very first chapter, chapter 1, where they talk about the world rulers, how adorned they are, and we're at the point where they give us a glimpse into how they became world rulers. Okay, first of all, I'd like to see there quite a number of new people. Hello, thank you. I'd like to remind you why we do things slightly differently and why we have a Dharma request. So we begin by spending several minutes doing a Dharma request. And it's a tradition that my late Chinese teacher brought to our country. It's not even done that often in China, where he came. And he brought it here, and I find it to be so beautiful. I don't know about you. It's so meaningful, and it really. Why do we spend several minutes every single time doing it. Now, those of you who have been here for some time, you must have got used to it, but have you thought about it? Why do we do this? It seems like you lose several minutes of your life, do something that doesn't seem to matter. First of all, we taught that when you do Dharma request, meaning this means that on behalf of all living beings, we request that the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas and the sages would bestow the teachings upon us. Why is it important? Because I don't know about you, but personally, I was never taught about these things, about what the Mahayana and Buddhism philosophy was about. And as a result, the first half of my life was totally miserable. Okay, second half got worse. Got better. Slip of the tongue. Okay, it's because thanks to the training in Mahayana that I got from my late Chinese teacher. That's why I'm very grateful. It changed my life, changed me personally. And so that's why we are doing the things that he taught us in terms of, because I know that it works. And one of the reasons that he taught us, explained, for doing the Dharma request is that it generates a lot of blessings for you. You sit there and you put your palms together and you recite this, you don't even really understand what you're doing. It creates tremendous amount of blessings. Why? Because in Buddhism, when you speak the Dharma, it's called Dharma living, giving, not living. Okay, Dharma giving. And that's among the various giving practices in Buddhism. The giving of Dharma is foremost, they say. Meaning that when you do that, the blessings generated are far exceed any other activities, any other forms of cultivation. So that's why when we do a Dharma request, it's on behalf of all living beings. By the way, it must be requested. The Dharma, the Buddha Dharma must be requested. Otherwise, will not be spoken at all. So that's why first thing we do is we request the Dharma on behalf of all living beings. So it will benefit all living beings. What we're doing, we're investigating, we're talking, we're discussing about are for the sake of benefiting everyone, including ourselves. Okay? And that's why when we request the Dharma, it creates a lot of blessings for us. A lot of blessings. Okay? So it's our time is not wasted at all. Actually, it's very important, very beneficial. Okay? Those several minutes right there can change a person's life. Imagine a person would hear about the Dharma, the things we talked about, we discussed today, and it would change their lives, it helps them in any way, you are getting even more benefits out of it yourself. Okay? So that's why it's extremely beneficial. And also, one thing that I thought of recently is another very important reason. Does anyone know? Anyone think of something why it is so important to do a Dharma request? Why we insist on doing this? Every single time we explain sutras, we do this. Anyone knows? Sutras, by the way, are the key forms of sermons or teachings that the Buddha has conveyed upon his disciples to train them. Teach them about Buddhism and how to practice Buddhism. Yes, too.
Oh, does it invite a Dharma assembly in the spiritual realm that we don't see, so that way our ancestors also participate and other celestial beings that we don't see also participate.
All right, close. Okay, yes, they're contrary to what you can understand. Actually, these sutra lectures are fairly well attended. There are a lot of, unlike human beings, there are a lot of spiritual beings, in particular gods. The gods are the heavenly beings who live above us. And believe it or not, these gods, they love to hear the Dharma. It's like, to them, it's better than watching a James Bond movie, if you will. Okay? They really value the Dharma lectures. That's for the Sutra lectures. That's why when there's Sutra lectures like this in Mahayana, by the way, it's very rare to be able to find Sutra lectures on Mahayana Sutras in English. Did you know that? It's very rare. You may have to go to universities and take a class in Buddhism, and it turns out if you do that, you might run into some classes that would explain about some Mahayana Sutras. However, those classes are more or less very, very shallow. What we explore in our sutra lectures are much far, far deeper. That's why, for example, the heavenly beings, gods and goddesses up there, they would never go to university classes, Buddhist classes. Okay? To them, it's not a good use at the time. But they would come attend our sutra lectures, for example. Definitely, for example, my late Chinese teacher sutra lectures, heavily attended. Okay? And so, yes, there are a lot of spiritual beings called heavenly beings, the gods, and quite often many sages. The sages, for example, the sages who are enlightened, who live by themselves, who cultivate in the wilderness, in the mountains, in the valleys, hidden away, okay? And they have this ability to use their powers to come to our lecture, to listen and to learn, okay? So it's so a lot of, and of course the bodhisattvas as well. The bodhisattvas really have a lot of free time, I think. So that's why when you hear of Mahayana Sutra lectures, in English in particular, done by monks, okay. Again, it's a standard, by the way. If you want to learn, you want to attend sutra lectures in English, don't go to universities. You have to come to attend it take it from a monk or nun, okay, who's trained to lecture, those people, by the way, those people who are really very skilled at explaining Mahayana Sutras, they would not want to put the name next to the name, something called PhD from U of Berkeley or something, would be like insulting to them. To say, I'm a Dharma master so-and-so, I have a PhD from so-and-so. They would never do that because it's unimpressive for us professionals. We don't need a label. We don't need certification from those institutions. I'm personally against getting a PhD from such institutions unless you want to become a teacher yourself, professor yourself, then acceptable. But for you to study, want to learn about the wisdom and Buddhist wisdom, it's not going to be at universities. Sorry. It's not there. Because to me, they don't understand at all. So my disciples, you want to go for master's degree in Buddhology, I will help you, I'll support you. I would never support you getting a PhD. Unlike my master YongHua, encouraged his disciples to get PhDs, which I feel is a waste of time to me. Again, I would never want to put a PhD next to my name. It's too insulting to me. But again, don't mind me, I'm opinionated. I express my opinion and usually it falls on deaf ear, so it's okay. Be in samadhi. Okay, so anyway, so the bodhisattvas would come and many, bodhisattvas would come all over to listen to sutra lectures. Why? Because unlike us, unlike you, they don't go and recite the Buddha's name or cross their legs like you do. Okay? Their main form of practice, major form of practice is sutra lectures. Why? Anyone know? Anyone knows? Why? My master never explained this. Why? Why would bodhisattvas come to attend sutra lectures? Why? Why? Why are we doing this? Why would they come? Why? Anyone knows? Why would they come so far away to attend sutra lecture? They fly on their dragon. Hey boys, you guys like dragons or only police cars? They fly from far away to come attend to the lectures. Why? Why? Oh, I forgot, you're not bodhisattvas. Why do I bother asking you? Because? How do you teach bodhisattvas? How are bodhisattvas taught? The only thing to learn is what? Of course you don't know. My God, why do I even bother talking to you? The only thing that they want to learn is called the sudden teaching. They only learn the sudden teaching of Buddhism. They are not like us reading sutras and studying sutras and so forth. They come, they listen to sutra lectures, and then in a lecture, the sudden teaching is bestowed upon them. That's why they make it a practice to come and attend sutra lectures, so that they can be taught. Unlike you, most of you come to sutra lecture because you think it's fun, and it's free. It's a nice Sunday afternoon after lunch. Why not? Here in the U.S., okay. But in the bodhisattva world, they come hoping they'll be taught. Okay? And that is very important. This relates to my original question. Why do you do a Dharma request? Because when you do a Dharma request, it's also on behalf of the bodhisattvas as well. So you do a Dharma request on behalf of the bodhisattvas in order to remind ourselves how respectful the bodhisattvas are. Can you imagine they come from so far away to attend a sutra lecture? Do you think they come here and say, well, let's see what he's got today? They put their palms together and they listen. You know, my late Chinese teacher, the great master YongHua, he's a Tripitaka master, meaning he understands about Mahayana, he understands sutras, he understands Vinaya, he understands all the rules of morality, he understands Shastras, which is which are authored by the Bodhisattvas, all the Bodhisattvas. So Master YongHua is probably the most knowledgeable living monk at the time, okay, when he was alive. And one day he said, let's invite a monk over to explain to you, my dear disciples, about the Bodhisattva precepts. Again, you think he does not understand the Bodhisattva precepts? Nah, he does. Much better than the monk who he invited. I haven't met that monk yet, but I read his explanation. I can tell you this monk is just bookworm. His level of explanation is too shallow. So anyway, so this monk here, he was invited by Master YongHua, a Tripitaka master, and that monk agreed to come over to lecture on the Bodhisattva precepts. What does it tell you? If I were invited by Master YongHua to come over and talk about the Bodhisattva Precepts Sutra, I would have said, no, thank you. Please, please, when you do decide to lecture on that, please let me know, because I'd like to attend yours. I don't want to in Vietnamese saying it's a mu rìu qua mắt thợ, meaning you try to wield an axe in front of a woodcutter. The woodcutters are, okay? And that's how they split woods and chop down trees. It's a beautiful thing. Using the hips. Anyway, and so I would never dare explain a sutra if he were to invite me to come over to lecture to his students. Okay, but he did. And so this monk here, I believe is a Taiwanese monk, who is probably a specialist in Bodhisattva precepts or specialist in Vinaya. And I can't think of any Vinaya master who's as advanced as Master YongHua. Can't think of anyone that I heard of, or the famous ones, the dead ones, the ones still alive. I can't think of anyone who is at the level of Master YongHua. So anyway, Master YongHua invited him to come over to lecture on the Bodhisattva precepts. You know what he did? He said, okay, boys and girls, you learn from this, the precept from this venerable monk, huh? I'll talk to you later. You know what he did? When the monk was lecturing, was talking about the Bodhisattva Precept Sutra, explaining that sutra, you know what he did? He knelt back there, all the way in the back, in the Buddha hall, on his knees, no cushion, like yours. You guys are so soft. You know, your knees would hurt too much if you don't have that cushion thing there. Huh? He knelt on the bare floor, put his palm together the whole time, and listened. That's why he's Master YongHua, the one and only Master YongHua. Why was he doing that? It has something to do with Dharma request. Because even though he knew more about the Bodhisattva precept sutra than the guest speaker. But he still was so respectful towards the Dharma of the Bodhisattva Sutra. He doesn't have to be respectful to the speaker, but he knelt down. And it's not a put on, it's not an act, it's not a show, okay? Unlike many of you, and again, okay? You like to do that, and especially Vietnamese. Any of you Vietnamese? Vietnamese are much more dramatic. The Chinese are like, Vietnamese. Okay? Very dramatic. So he was so respectful to that Dharma of the Buddha Dharma, the Bodhisattva precepts Dharma. That's why he knelt down. Listen to it again. That's what people with wisdom do. That's what they do, unlike us. So that's why it goes back again to the original answer to the original question, why we do a Dharma request? It's because it puts us in a right frame of mind to be respectful. So I know most of you who just had a real full lunch, and pleasant conversation. We lunch here. We typically end lunch at 11:50 at my Master Shinhua's temples. Our lunch here goes on to 12:30, 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock sometimes. Because people gab, and after a while, would you like some more food? Oh, why not? And so his temple is very, very strict. Here we are a lot more lax. Okay. So anyway, that Dharma request is designed to put you in a proper frame of mind. If you want to be taught, you want to absorb the teaching, you have to be respectful, very respectful. Otherwise, whatever I say, whatever you hear, will fall on deaf ears. Nothing registers for a long time. That's why we put a Dharma request and make the old monk bow up and get up, bow down, get up, bow down, get up, and say, oh my God, my back. Okay? It's because it's to remind ourselves, be respectful, be grateful. Dharma being bestowed upon you, upon us. Why am I doing this? I'm doing this same reason as you. I also recited with you, number one, because you don't have it memorized yet. After 16 years, you still haven't got it memorized yet. Okay? Just like you, okay? First of all, I need to recite it for you because you don't even remember the tune. Ask him. Okay? But I also do it because I, myself, also am requesting a Dharma as well. What kind of Dharma? When you speak the Dharma, by the way, when I speak the Dharma, I know that I'm getting help. And you see in this sutra here, in the Avatamsaka Sutra, whenever later, in about 10 slides later here, there will be a Bodhisattva would say, would speak a verse. Okay? In that verse begins with, and Mahasattva so-and-so knelt down and with the aid from the Buddha spoke the verse. So in the sutra itself, you find yourself a lot of Bodhisattvas speaking the sutras, explaining the Avatamsaka Sutra. But actually, it's because they got help from the Buddhas. because they themselves would not be able to do that. But they got help. Same thing. I know that I don't have any wisdom, so that's why I have to ask for help every single time. Okay? Say, Buddhas, please teach me. Okay? And by enabling me to speak the Dharma on your behalf. That's why I also request the Dharma. Okay? All right. Any questions or comments? This is very, very important. I think it's such a beautiful, very significant tradition that Master Hsuan brought to our country. We should be very grateful for that. And which brings me to a recent incident. I talked to someone last night and asking me for advice and so forth. But I was actually very, very disappointed of the attitude. That's why I let her express my displeasure instantaneously. You're not respectful. Why do you bother asking? It's not a casual thing at all. It is hard work for us. You know, I know that Master Hsuan, I used to go to attend the Avatamsaka Sutra lecture from, the kids. Uncontrollable kids. Okay? I don't know, you remember having kids, you let them be. Don't fight them, don't punish them, and now here in this country, you punish them, you go to jail. Okay? And you're too harsh on them, they run away from home. So there's nothing we can do. We just shut up and bear with it and move away. They're very smart. For most people, they say, and they walk out. I say, what kind of temple is this? We're investing in our future, our social security providers. All right. Where was I? Oh, yeah. The casual attitude is annoying. How dare you? Take up my time, and treat me like another shaman. Such a casual thing I give you? Anyway, if you're not respectful, don't expect to be taught. Don't expect to be able to absorb the teaching. Because if you're not receptive, to be receptive meaning you have to be respectful and grateful. You're not respectful, forget it. Nothing we say is going to stick at all, unfortunately. So to me, last night's a waste of time. I expressed my displeasure quite clearly, I think. Okay. Any questions or comments? We're on slide 47. Let's delve into it. Oh, good. Celestial King, delightful, great knowledge, gain a passage into liberation of traveling everywhere throughout the 10 directions to speak Dharma, while neither moving nor relying on anything.
可爱要大智天王，得普往十方说法，而不动无所依解脱门。
Okay, 48 commentary. Again, because some new people here, so let's please bear with that. These are the big wigs in Mahayana. They're very, very big. You don't get to be mentioned by name here in the sutra unless you are a big shot. Here we hear of President Biden, President Putin, or so forth, okay? As if they are important people. But in the universe, they don't get to be mentioned in the Avatamsaka Sutra by the other Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Can you imagine the Buddhas and say, Biden, he's a good boy? No, Biden is so small. He doesn't get to be, he doesn't draw attention from these big shots. And yet, these celestial king get his name are brought up in our sutras itself. Can you imagine? You know how big it is? These beings are. Okay, it'll be like the end of time before my name isn't brought here in this sutra. In the next version, next version in about 20 gazillion more lifetimes, your name and my name will be there, and these people will be retired. Okay, never mind. So these beings, even though they are called celestial king, meaning they're just a ruler of the heavens, meaning the heavenly God, meaning they're much lower than a bodhisattvas in principle. Bodhisattvas are much higher level attainment than a god. Okay, at least in Buddhism. Don't break it up to the Christians and Catholics. They get offended. Okay, but it's okay. In our small world, the heavenly beings are actually very low level. They're in principle. When they see bodhisattva, they're supposed to stand up and bow to them. That's our protocol. When you see a senior, you're supposed to get up, bow. Again, so that it puts you in a proper frame of mind. I remember, for example, I have a disciple who went to the White House and helped his dad take videos of the president and the big shots in the White House. So when I talk to him, his attitude is always very respectful. Compared to the engineers I met, much more respectful. It's like night and day. Because you used to understand, how big the president is in this country. It's numero uno, number one man. The most important man in our country is the president. So when you get a chance to address him, it is a big privilege. You don't want to waste his time. Okay? And so that's why the bodhisattvas, when they come, these celestial kings, in principle, supposed to bow to them and become very respectful. May I get you some tea? Can I get you some sweets? You go to Korea, give you red bean stuff everywhere. Everywhere I went, they give me red beans pastries, red beans sweets. It's all red beans. Someone even said, the president of Korea just gave me this. I'm offering it to you. Then I told myself, Korean president is so cheap. Never mind. And so, but however, Buddhism, we have to learn to have to be careful. In Buddhism, it's not the way it seems. They're called celestial kings, meaning they're low level, but actually because they are mentioned here, the names are brought up here in this sutra. That means they are a Mahasattva. They're so high up there. Okay? Case in point, President of the United States of Russia would never be mentioned here in the sutra. That's how small they are. Will never be mentioned. Okay? So anyway, so that's why in Buddhism, they are like heavenly kings, meaning like a low level, but actually they are mahasattvas going there to save all these gods and goddesses. So that's why they disguise the big and manifest the small. Meaning that they're so big, they pretend to be unimportant people, but they're huge. Yes, you too.
From Jane, can Master please explain 解脱门, a passage into liberation?
Okay. Gain and passion and liberation. Okay. First of all, let's talk about liberation. Good question. I meant to explain that, and thank you for asking. Liberation means that you are freed from your wife. No one even laughing, except for one. See, it hit home. That's liberation to him. Yeah? Thấm thía. You're enjoying it, this is too much. Okay, so liberation here means that you are sprung, like you sprung from jail. Now he's looking serious. Home, sweet home is actually jail. Never mind. Liberation is that you freed. Free from what? Not from jail. Jail is nothing yet. You freed from suffering. Jail is temporary. Suffering is like forever for us. Because we suffer one lifetime, and because we suffer, we create karmas. We create offenses. And the next time around, you suffer more. And you suffer more. You suffer more. You suffer more. For most of us. Unless you meet the Buddha Dharma, then you know how to avoid suffering. And that's what he did. He cultivated, recited the Buddha's name, meditated, recited mantras. And that's how he was freed from suffering. How can you be free from suffering? When are you considered to be free from suffering? Anyone? Honju. When you're free from suffering. This lady here is from Korea. I'm asking Honju, who's from Kong in Korea there. The one in green, in the middle screen. Row number 1. And she took about a month going to United States and fixed a lot of people's pain and aches, back pains, arm pains, or whatever. And how does he fix the people's problems? By how did she fix you? The men who aspire for liberation from home? 3.
Emitofuo Master. First, she detect where the dislocated was.
You have a dislocated disc?
No, it's like where the pains come from. So she have to detect exactly where it comes.
Okay, where the pain is? Yes.
Where the pains, yeah.
Very good.
And then after that, she taught me how to do the exercise to release the pain or build up the muscle.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk to the girls. Anyone who went through treatment for her, with her, from her? No one? Yes. Cordelia, what did she do to treat you? 7.
I don't remember. It was a lot of pain.
Thank you. Don't have to pretend. It didn't hurt. This is so typical, man. No, it doesn't hurt. It didn't hurt at all. Okay? This is what she does to all of you. She fixes you by inflicting pain upon you. Right or wrong? What have you got to say for yourself? She goes around and inflicts pain on people.
주고 싶진 않았으나 고통을 주게 됐습니다.
What did you say? I'm innocent? I have a bad childhood? My mother didn't treat me well? Huh? What did she say? Translation.
Master, I don't want to give any pain. However, I ended up giving pain to them.
Oh, you poor thing. And you want to keep on doing it? You take no pleasure in giving pain to people? Okay? How do you attain liberation? This is no secret. Only secret to you, non-Mahayana practitioners. We Mahayana practitioners know in order to attain liberation from pain, what do we need to do? Endure more pain. It's no secret. In Mahayana, we all know that. You want to be free from pain? You have to endure pain. So, for example, these people, by the way, Xing, where are you? I can't even see you anymore. Look, she's hiding behind that monitor. Xin, who has received treatment virtually daily from this Korean lady. And every day, usually when you go to see those people, those healers, it's once a week, right? Because it's so painful. It's okay. Maybe I come back next week. Okay, but the treatment that she receives every single night, every single day. Okay, and as a result, it's so intense. You multiply. One month is 30 days, okay? Times 7 is like almost a year's worth of treatment in 1 month. And as a result, guess what? Xin now is like 3 inches taller. So she was liberated from being short. You got that? Okay, so liberation. I know I'm joking, but there's principles behind it. Again, to be liberated, you need to endure suffering. So these people, they attain liberation by enduring a lot of suffering, folks. There's no two ways about it. It's a poorly kept secret in Buddhism that you practice Mahayana, you endure a lot of hardships. It's supposed to be difficult. Unlike the Hinayana people, the Hinayana-minded people, I'm not pointing at anyone in particular, okay, who, with the first sign of trouble, would say, "Oh, I feel so angry today. Master, fix it for me." And what happened? It sort of fell on deaf ears. You want to cultivate, or you want me to cultivate? Okay? So that's cultivation, nature cultivation, you endure it. And that's how you attain liberation. So the celestial king, this particular one, and many of them, all of them, attain liberation by enduring a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, a lot of hardships. What for? Because you do it right, guess what? You never suffer again. Never. That's why it's called liberation. Liberation here means that you're free from such pains. And since it doesn't mention what pain they're liberated from, that means liberated from all sorts of sufferings. Is that clear? That's the only way, by the way. There's no such thing as you get a free pass, like Liang is hoping for when she first came to Go Forest 3 years ago. She says, pain? Why? Why must I endure pain? And the husband forced her. He said, you don't come? I will suffer without you. Same thing now, the young couple, same thing. He said, oh, I hurt so much. And I say, okay, you suffer for both of us. Husband very smart. Liang is the same thing. Liang says, you suffer for me. Okay? Yeah. And very much like Jung, that engineer, his wife cultivates much longer than he did, and she never suffered her entire life. Whenever the monk says, endure suffering, he says, I'm out of here. So the only monk she gets along with are the one who do not require her to endure suffering. And she says, my husband does it for all of us. Never mind. So liberation, so they're free from all suffering. Whereas you, when you run away from pain, okay, it's only temporary. The pain pursues you. Agree or disagree? If you run away from pain, pain pursues you. What proof do you have? Do I have? I am a one-time loser. You know what I mean? Do you know anything at all, huh, girls? You know what a one-time loser means? I was divorced once. The wife said, "You're no good, get out. I don't want you anymore. I have better things to do than take care of boys." And guess what? It hurt so much. The first time in my life, I thought of killing myself. Women are so mean. It hurt so much. But lucky for me, for some reason, I'm too chicken. I never, I just thought of it and never did anything. I said, there's so much suffering, might as well die. So what's the point in living? But then it went away very quick, with a beer or so, they don't last, those thoughts. And why do I say that the pain pursues you? This is like most divorced people. They never learn. What happened to divorced people, just between us? I don't know if you agree with me. Anyone divorced, by the way? Can I have a show of hands? Anyone who is divorced? What? Cordelia, you too? Wow. Anyone else? Just 3 of us? How many times? One time. You, the man in the back, how many times were you divorced? 1? You're so young, you divorced already? How old were you when you were divorced? 18? 21. God, she was older than you, clearly. Younger. Oh, you are. Anyway, what happened is that we got divorced, and it hurt so much, we end up marrying the same kind of woman. We haven't figured it out yet. We thought we run away from that kind of woman, actually end up marrying the same kind of woman. And got divorced again. Making the same mistakes again. Okay. Anyway, so that's what happens. My point, never mind by divorces. I know, let's not get too personal. My point is that if you run away from pain, okay, it follows you. It pursues you. You think you get away, but actually you're not. You're carrying it with you to the next relationship, to the next state, okay, next lifetime. Same thing, you're gonna make the same mistake over and over again. Why? Because you run away from it. You run away from pain. Hint, hint today, I don't know what you learned so far, but one very practical lesson. If you run away from suffering, your suffering will never end. It pursues you. Questions or comments? Anyone awake? Huh? Okay? Yes, sir. Number 5, a brave soul.
So, no pain, no gain?
No pain, no gain. Actually, it's more than that. It's too American. The Americans don't get it. It's not about gain. Because if you gain, it's another form of suffering. The gain we have is to end suffering, not anything else. The American, when they say no pain, no gain, is like, for example, when you go to the gym and you push your body so that your muscles grows. That's the gain. Yes, become stronger, you become healthier, you become like Brady. You know, Brady, he's like 90 years old. Is he there? Brady, where are you today?
Can I figure out?
He has silver hair, beautiful, beautiful hair. And he used to have a mustache here. American, clearly. You know, we Asian don't have white hair. And he works out. So when he first came to the temple, I thought, wow, beautiful body. He walks around like this, like Arnold. So that's what they teach you at the gym. No pain, no gain. Okay? But in Buddhism, okay, end suffering by enduring suffering. Pain. If you do it right, you endure pain the proper way, it will end the pain. You endure the suffering the proper way, you will end suffering. There's a method behind it. It's not foolishness at all. It's not like why, like Liang said, why I still have to endure pain? Isn't it enough? Have I endured enough the last 3 years? It's never enough. If you still have the mindset, haven't I done enough for you? Okay? Anyone? Haven't I done enough for you, dear? Okay? The answer is no. Yes? See, the engineer, he keep on laughing. Whatever I do, it's never enough for my wife. Yeah? 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 Okay? So, to endure suffering is what we are trained to do. The patriarchs come to our world to teach us how to endure suffering.
Yeah, 3. I'm looking
Because they know full well that we hate suffering. We hate leg pains.
I'm going to train one to someone, and I'm going to train another one to someone. That's what I'm going to do.
And the poor Koreans, they're very tough. But the Koreans, they don't do it like that. The Koreans, they
Shiny hollow beam sword. A shiny hollow.
they hide their grimaces. They don't want you to see them grimace. So they bend forward.
Shiny Pokemon.
And then, hello. Very polite. My Korean disciples. Anyway, so bodhisattvas, like Master YongHua, came to our world to teach us how to endure suffering in order to gain a passage into liberation. So how? He taught us how to meditate. He taught us how to recite the Buddha's name. He taught us how to recite mantras. He taught us how to study sutras and so forth. Okay? And all those are involved suffering. Chan, for example, he taught us how to sit in full lotus. That's painful. And if you undergo that kind of training, the pain will stop. I promise, eventually, in a few more lifetimes. For Liang, it says, 3 years, it's no difference. It still hurts like hell. Yeah. Anyway, so liberation again. You gain a passage in liberation, which is like so the bodhisattvas come to our world to teach us how to attain liberation, to gain a passage into liberation. And that's the literary way of saying that, to free ourselves, to end all our suffering. Okay? And these people who are certified by the Buddha to have gained a passage into liberation means what? They are all enlightened. Not just enlightened. They reach a very high level of enlightenment. At a low level of enlightenment, by the way, they still see suffering. They still see pain. For example, let's say, take an example of a Korean Sunim, Korean monk. And I don't mean to criticize anyone. This is to illustrate a point I know. Don't take me wrong. Because this monk here, I will mention his name, will not take it wrong. Okay? Okay, he's enlightened. This monk here is Master YongHua, for example, in Korea. And we have a lot of his disciples. Anyone is a disciple here, Korean? Anyone? Okay, anyway. So he's enlightened. Second ground bodhisattva. Dead already. That's why I bring up his name. The ones who are alive, I will not touch them. Too dangerous. They bite. Anyway. He's the second ground bodhisattva, meaning in the scheme of things, for enlightened people, second ground is low. Not very high. They don't know a whole lot. They're good, they're decent people, good people, very, very pure. Okay. Kind man, but wisdom is not that strong. Okay? So the question then Jesus asks is, why are you bowing? Are you repenting on my behalf? Thank you. Good Lord. So he's, if you ask him, Do you still experience suffering? Guess what he's going to tell you? He said, probably not. No, I don't. He probably will tell you, no, I'm not suffering anymore. But to me, he's suffering. Why? Why? Because he felt it necessary to be kind to his disciples. He's a very kind man. He's so beloved by all his disciples. They adored him. They are so loyal to him. I'm so impressed by his disciples. They're so loyal. You talk to them, his disciples, like Master Hsuan disciples, they're all very loyal. Okay? But the difference is that between Master Hsuan and Master YongHua, the Korean monk, is that Master YongHua disciples are so enamored with him because he treats them so well. He treated them with so much respect and so much kindness, is that they said, Master is the only person in the world who treats me this well. Okay? So that's why my claim is that Master YongHua is still afraid of suffering. Whereas Master Hsuan, I can tell you from personal experience, he treats me so badly. I'm still very bitter about it. The hurt never stopped. Hasn't stopped yet. So he treats me so bad, it means he's not afraid of suffering. You buy that or not? Ah, you disagree with me. Look at their faces. I say, seriously? It's like you are so afraid that your children would suffer because you haven't not ended your suffering yet. If you ended your suffering, truly ended your suffering, you're no longer afraid that your children will suffer. Agree or disagree? Raise your hands, those who agree with me. I knew it. Only Daniel would agree with me. The rest of you are traitors. Okay, so the question is about gain and passions and liberation. So liberation again is here for these people. They never suffer again. It's a very strong statement, folks. Any one of you dares claim that you no longer suffer. I'm talking about till the end of time, they will never suffer again. Never, ever. See? None of you believe you can, you ended your suffering. Them people have ended the suffering. That's why it's called gain a passage into liberation. Okay? Now, how do you end your suffering? I said, answer is by enduring a lot of suffering. Yes? Okay? What kind of suffering? You might ask next. What kind of suffering must I endure in order to attain liberation? Would you like to know? Ask him.
Who is it?
He's a fourth stage Arhat. What did you do? Huh? Sir, Give him a microphone. What did you do, sir, to attain a passage into the liberation of fourth stage Arhat? 3.
Emitofuo Master, I guess that you should endure all kind of suffering.
He's so insincere. All kind of suffering for my wife. For my wife. The Americans would say, it doesn't work. Americans like me, it doesn't work, let's get divorced. This guy says, I would never divorce her. She's the mother of my beloved son. Okay? I would never inflict pain upon my son like that. I'm joking. We understand the principle behind it. You endure the suffering so that others don't suffer. Does it make sense to you? Not just any kind of suffering. Endure suffering on behalf of others, like mothers endure suffering for their children. Sounds familiar? Okay, that's what we do. That's what you do. Father endures suffering for their children. Same thing. That's how you become a Buddha, by enduring suffering for others. Don't complain. If you suffer in order for others to be happy, suffer. Yes, sir, 5. 5.
So is love equals suffering?
Sorry?
Love. If you love, you suffer, right?
Where are you from? Love is happiness. What are you talking about?
If you love your kids, you suffer for them. When they suffer, you suffer because you love them.
I understand hate is suffering, but love, how can love be suffering? Come on. Is that love suffering for you?
I think love equals suffer.
Are you married?
Yes.
Do you love your wife?
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay. I have no experience. I never loved my wife. I certainly do not love her now. They're too much. I don't know how he could do it. How do you do that? How do you suffer because you love someone? Okay? So according to him, from his experience, love is suffering. The rest of you have no opinion, of course. Hey, Koreans, is love suffering or not? YongHua! Just give the Koreans a chance. Let's hear from them first. YongHua! Give a microphone. YongHua worked for Samsung. Samsung, big Korean company, very big. And he asked a lot of questions on my lectures. Now I'm simply reciprocating him, asking him a lot of questions in return. Okay? Yes, YongHua, are you in love? Are you suffering?
I think it depends, Master.
It depends? Explain, please. That's new to me. Listen. Remember, your wife is listening. Just in case.
이제 당연히 사랑을 하는데 이제 사랑을 하는데 거기에 이제 집착이 따르거나 거기에 이제 마음이 계속 이제 가게 되면 내가 이제 사랑을 베풀었는데 왜 이렇게 리턴이 안 되지 이런 어떤 착이 남기 때문에 이제 고통이 되는 것 같고요. 미세하게 고통이 되는 것 같고 사랑을 함에도 불구하고 거기에 정말로 진실하게 뭐 어떤 리턴에 대한 어떤 그런 바라는 마음이 없다면 그냥 자연스럽게 뭐 고통이 없는 것 같습니다. 그러니까 그 집착이 있느냐 없느냐 그 차이인 것 같은데 계속 그 연습을 하는 것 같습니다. 일상생활 속에서. 네.
That's a long answer. I can't wait to hear the translation.
Master, obviously I love her, but I think it's something related to the attachment or think too much of it. And I love her. However, if there's no return from her, then that is a suffering.
She doesn't love you back, you mean? Oh.
And truly love someone, but if I don't expect anything, naturally there will be no suffering. So I guess it's a matter of attachment or not, and I continue to practice for no attachment.
Koreans are too complicated. Yes, sir, let's go back to America. 5.
So if you don't love anything, you won't experience suffering, right? If you don't love a woman, if the woman leave you, then you don't experience any suffering because you don't love her.
Say what? Remember, you sit among the girls section.
I say, love equals suffering, right? But if you don't love, you don't suffer.
Let him have it, ma'am. Correct him. Beat him. Beat him up. She says, what is he talking about? She says, where do you learn this from? Huh? Seriously? So, love is suffering, therefore you run away from love? Listen carefully, boys. Okay, guys, careful. Okay, look at he has no more hair left, must speak from experience.
What, nobody agree with me?
So he runs away from love. Yes, that's your solution. Because love is suffering, therefore you run away from love. Someone comes and says, I love you. Don't go any nearer. Is that what you do? How do you run away from love?
What I'm trying to say is that if you love, you suffer. That's it. If you love a woman, if you love your girlfriend, and your girlfriend doesn't love you, you suffer.
Didn't you just hear YongHua in Korea? He says, I love her, she doesn't love me, I don't mind. Right, YongHua?
That's him.
I'm trying to help him. I don't want him to get in trouble. She listens to it. She watches over him. She watches him. The point here is that you telling me because love is suffering, therefore you should stay away from love.
That's what my mom used to tell me.
It sounds like he's running away from love. Huh? And what did we just talk about? What did we say just before that? You run away from love, love pursues you. You agree or disagree? If you run away from love, it pursues you. You run away from suffering, the suffering pursues you. It doesn't end by us running away from it. Agree or disagree? Oh no, now he's crying. It's never boring, a dull moment. Yes? You understand the principle? You agree or disagree? You run away from love. Love pursues you. Not you personally, clearly. Kind of late. But that's a principle behind it. You run away from suffering, suffering continues to pursue you. So it's not how you gain a passage into liberation. Okay? Anyone? The women are so quiet, I can't stand this. When we talk about love, women, not me. YouTube, go ahead.
From Daniel Wisniewski, does love have something to do with the ego?
I don't think so. What do you think? Does love have anything to do with ego? Does the ego have anything to do with love? I feel love is a beautiful thing. What does it have to do with the ego? Huh? Jumi, what does love have to do with ego? Careful, your husband is right there.
아상과 에고를 끝나기 전에는 사랑한다. Yes, 맞어. 아상과 에고를 끝나기 전에는 사랑일 뿐입니다. 남편을 사랑하는 게 아니라 자기를 사랑할 뿐이라고요. 아상과 애교를 끝나기 전에는 타인을 사랑할 수 없고 자기를 사랑한다고요.
One sentence is one breath, okay, not two. And this lady is so talkative. She can, one question for her is like 5 minutes. Can I ask you a question? I said, I don't have any time left. Yeah, okay, what did she say?
Before ending self or ego, it's still loving oneself. Until then, you can't really truly love others.
It's too profound for me. Okay, anyone else? What do you think? Love have anything to do with ego? Love is all ego. And guess what? Love is all ego, and it's about loving yourself. Agree or disagree? Those of you who don't have your husbands are not here. You can speak freely. Yeah? She likes it. You like talking about love? All I can say is that love frees us from our ego. So if you run away from love, what's the point in living? The Catholics will ask us, if you run away from love because love is suffering, what's the point of living? The Catholics, Christians like to give us a hard time about love and happiness. He said, you Buddhists are unreasonable. You keep on talking about suffering. Love is such a beautiful, beautiful thing. What's the point? My answer as a man, and please don't take it wrong, girls, love is suffering. I'm helping you. I'm on your side, by the way. I know, I agree that love is suffering. That's why I run away from love, so that I can love more, suffer more. Agree? Love is suffering, as long as we're talking about love. Can we finish this, or you rather I don't talk about this and make it neutral? You know, like lofty things, the Dharma of suffering, or enlightenment, of birth and death, and so forth. That's not bring up love, okay? It's a sticky subject. No one wins. We can't win talking about love. I like to talk about love. Because? Why did we become a monk? When you become a monk, you cut off love. Yes? I cannot talk about you. I don't even talk about my personal experience. Does it make sense to you? I can't talk about you. It's your life. What do I know about you? I can only talk about me. We agree, okay? And if you feel like you can share your story later or whatever. But as a monk, are you okay, Shorty? Shorty's like, whoa. Maths is so interesting. Anyway, you've been a left-home person for over 10 years. You know what I'm talking about. We run away from love and became a monk and a nun because we say, we're going to cut off love. Come on, participate, help. Okay, so I became a monk so that I can cut off love. Yes, that's our practice. Again, a passage. Passage here refers to a passageway. Which way are you taking to reach liberation? Is it clear? This is what it means. Gain a passage, meaning that this door here, this hallway here, you taking, which leads you into liberation. For us personally, Shorty, is to cut off love. And the hair as well. So far, so good. And that's how we gain. That's our passage. This is our channel. This is our way. This is our road. Is it clear? Okay? So we cut off love. We choose to cut off love. Okay? In order to attain liberation. So far, so good. I'm not saying I attain liberation. Do not misquote me. Very far from it. Okay? Very, very far. I swear to God. We're in a church. Be respectful. Come on. So, we cut off love as a way to, as a passageway to gain liberation. Let me ask you, after you attain liberation, what happens? Because I know you're curious about it. Especially you. 5.
You become free.
Free. Okay, he says.
No more pain.
No more pain. Very good. What about love?
No more love.
I asked you already. Then what's the point? What's the point of attaining liberation if there's no more love? Have you thought about it? You are sitting outside the fan. You say, "Oh, it'd be so nice. I'm free from my wife." We're free from our wives. Okay? Have you thought about it? After liberation, what happens? What happened after liberation? Free.
Emitofuo Master, I guess that doesn't bother you anymore. Whatever happened, it doesn't bother you anymore.
What doesn't bother you? Your wife, you mean? Be specific. Don't just say, whatever happened. Tell me, no matter what my wife does.
Yeah, whatever she wants, or she wants me to do, or whatever she wants, it doesn't bother me anymore.
But you still suffer inside?
No, actually not. I'm not. Who's suffering?
Hey, YongHua, there's hope for you. Yeah. Did you hear him? Yeah. He said, whatever she does to me, which a lot, means what? A lot of things she does to him, no longer bother him.
Yeah, no, bother me. Yeah.
Is what I'm hearing you right? Sir, did you hear him? Huh? Would you call that love, sir? 5?
Yes.
Do you call that love?
It seems like he become a monk now.
What did he say? I couldn't hear. What did he say? What? That's insulting. Yes, Wei Mountain.
Thank you, Master. I guess the monk and nun cut off the love and then get a revelation. They have more love everyone, and they have more big compassion to other people. So love is come back.
You're so special. You understand me. You're the only one who understands me. After you attain liberation, you have more love in your heart, sir. Because if after liberation you're still afraid of love, then it's not called liberation. That's the good news. The good news is that we cut off love, but after we attain liberation, whenever it happens, Shorty, our heart is full of love. Ching! Like an angel. Ching! Huh? Liberation means that whatever used to make you suffer no longer does. That's why you're free. You're free to love. You're not afraid of love anymore. But like my favorite Korean disciple, okay, your heart is full of love. No applause sign. Yeah. You like it too much, young lady. Okay, got that? Can we finish it? I need to finish this slide, folks. The last week we spent 2 hours discussing one slide. It's about the same pace today. I have the whole sutra this thick to discuss. I will probably die before I can go anywhere. Okay, so what passage did he use? What channel did he use? What gate did he use? What Dharma door did he use? He used it, okay, by traveling everywhere throughout the 10 directions to speak Dharma. Okay, so that's why someone said to me, I didn't realize you go from Wei Mountain Temple to Dharma Cheshire Temple. It's like 6 hours. That's very far. It's nothing compared to him. He goes everywhere in the 10 directions. I only go north and south. He goes in all directions, up and down, left and right, to speak Dharma. So hint, I need more temples. I thought I'd throw it at you. Okay, so he goes, speaks Dharma. Speaking Dharma is very, very tiring. You know that Master YongHua, when he speaks Dharma, it drains him. So that he needs to spend time recuperating. I'm serious. You think speaking Dharma is easy? It's not. It consumes a lot of energy. Takes a lot out of you. Okay? That's the way it is. So for him to go speak everywhere, this guy has tremendous energy. Yeah. Amazing. You see that? There's a lot of suffering for him. Now, while neither moving nor relying on anything. Not moving, meaning what? Unlike me, I have to drive. He doesn't have to drive. That helps. He uses spiritual penetration in poof. He wants to speak Dharma, he appears in front of her and speak Dharma to her. It means that whoever needs to be taught, he will manifest in front of that person to speak Dharma. So for example, at Dharma Treasury, he would manifest here and speak Dharma to all of you. Or speak to you individually when you need to be taught. That's what he does. So he does gain, he put an end to all his suffering, attain liberation by speaking Dharma everywhere to everyone. Think about it. See the difficulties in going everywhere. Okay? That's a difficult thing. Another difficult thing, Master Old Monk, is that you speak to people. Some of them are Korean, some of them are Vietnamese, some of them are old, some of them are young. You know how to speak to them. Have you thought about it? Women need to hear women Dharma. Men needs to hear men Dharma. And so forth. You see the kind of wisdom is involved here? Because if you speak Dharma and you don't do a good job, guess what? Then you're wasting your time. See that? Isn't it fascinating that I try to tell my Korean disciples, now you have some wisdom, you have to stop being Korean. Because in order for you to go further, you have to be no longer Korean. You have to be American. You have to be Vietnamese. You have to be Chiu Chow. You have to be Cantonese. You have to be, woman. You have to be man. You have to be boy. You have to be girl. You have to be, one eye. You have to be a dog. You have to be a cat. It's fascinating. the kind of wisdom they have. Look at how small our world is. We say, I'm Vietnamese, I'm engineer, I'm Googler. I'm old. Don't talk to me like that. Can you see how old I am? Okay? Isn't it fascinating? And another aspect of this I want you to know is that not only he's capable of doing those things, going everywhere, that you can go everywhere and you can speak to everyone who needs to be taught. Because you're able to do that, that's why you must. It's not like they say, I have a PhD in Buddhism now. I can retire. These people, because they're able to do that, that's why they feel obligated to do it. That's why it's called liberation. For you, liberation sounds like retirement or divorce. I'm divorcing my husband, I get half of the fortune. Ha! Now I can have, I don't need no husband anymore. Okay? For you, that's not liberation, that's suffering. For them, they feel compelled to speak the Dharma. And that's why they are liberated. Different world. Agree or disagree? For you, your world is, I need to come gains. What's in it for me? I want love. I want to run away from love. I don't love my wife anymore. True? You still love your wife? She follows the Tibetan master, so she's safe. She would never listen to our Dharma. Never. Better things to do. Okay? You see? Freedom. Liberation means that you are no longer afraid. Nothing can stop you. No more fear. Isn't that nice? Can you imagine yourself living with no fear whatsoever? If the money runs out tomorrow, I sell my house to master at a discount. Hint, hint. I pay cash. 24-hour turnaround guaranteed. Okay? Anyone? Oh my God, we finished 2 slides today. We're making progress. Shall we continue? We have 10 minutes, unless you have any questions. So liberation is liberation from that fear of suffering too. Okay. What happens to us is when we suffer, we become fearful. And that's why the suffering never ends. Next, 49. Celestial King, all pervasive voice resembling a glorious banner, gain a passage into liberation of entering the Buddha's tranquil state and universally displaying bright light.
普因庄严床天王，得入佛极境界，普现光明解脱门。
Okay. Commentary, slide 50. So this king here attained liberation. How? By entering the Buddha's tranquil state. This refers to the Buddha's samadhi. Who can enter the Buddha's samadhi? Raise your hand, please. Man, I won't bother explaining this to you. Next slide. No? What's the point? I can't explain it to you. That's what he does. He says he entered the Buddha's samadhi. Okay? What kind of samadhi, you might ask? The Buddha's. Why do you ask? It's different from yours. It's not yours. Yours is not the Buddha's. Okay? So how do you enter the Buddha's samadhi? Ask him. Why do you ask me? I have an answer for all your questions, to my questions, I mean. Okay? And universally displaying bright light. What do you do? This is a very important point. Let's not worry about Buddha's samadhi, okay? Because I don't know it either. So don't ask, okay? Because I won't tell. What's the point in entering the Buddha's samadhi? Tranquil state. Tranquil here means that it's so peaceful. Hey, number 5. She said, see, I caught him again. You know what I just did to him? That's what happens at home. Hey! the voice, you know, the voice of your master, your mistress. Okay. Tranquil is that very peaceful. So peaceful. Which is something we don't have. Huh? Who has peace? You have peace? 2. Do you have peace? Mommy, yeah, see? Yeah, mommy. There goes all mommy's peace. Or Jung, as soon as the phone rings, oh, it's my wife. There you go. Yes, dear. And he said, I still love you. Forever. Okay? Tranquil, very peaceful. No matter what your wife tells you, your husband yells at you, you're still tranquil. Wouldn't that be cool? And what you do when you enter this tranquil state, you enter this Buddha samadhi, what does he do next? He display a bright light. He shoots off this brilliant light. Where? Everywhere. Everywhere. So this light, it reaches out to the moon, outside the galaxy, everywhere. That's the Buddha state. Can you see that? The Buddha state is that it reaches the entire universe. Whatever it is, we have no idea. Okay? It's bad enough to have to drive to the temple and then, deal with the traffic on weekdays. So this has tremendous power. His samadhi is so strong, and there's a Buddha's samadhi where in that state he can do things that has impact throughout the universe. So what he does is emit this brilliant light, okay, that illuminate, brings light to everywhere in the universe. Yes, Wei Mao.
Master, he can enter the Buddha Samadhi. Does it mean that he's a Buddha?
I don't know. Okay, I don't dare comment on whether he's a Buddha or not, because I don't know. Okay, but there are a couple things that could happen. Okay, number one, either he becomes a Buddha already, and he pretends to be celestial king. That happens. Okay, that's case number one. That's possible, quite often. Buddhas pretend to be a woman who's afraid of pain. You know what I mean? It could happen. You never know. And that's Buddhism. It's not the way it appears. You know yourself. That's all. Oh. So, well, it's by the time you come to my lecture. It's almost over. I have to demote you. Okay. Why were we? I was afflicted. Sorry. So, case number one, he's actually a Buddha. Obvious, right? Obvious case. Number two, he's not a Buddha, but the Buddha aided him to enter the Buddha state. All right? You leaving again? No? Oh, it's your Korean YouTube. That's what he does. He swings by 5 minutes and says, "Oh, Master lecturing on Avatamsaka Sutra. Koreans, watch it." Okay? And he says, "Sayonara." Smile. You're on camera. Korean channel. Oh, I have a bunch of jokers for disciples. Okay, I think that's enough for tonight. I don't think I have enough time to move on to the next slide, 51. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice afternoon. And let's do the reverse transference. We're trying to help some people get to the Pure Land. All right.